this week 2 matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars allows us to see an amazing rematch of that AFC divisional game last year between the two teams, where the Chiefs were barely able to pull off the victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially with Patrick Mahomes essentially playing on one leg. But this is just a fun matchup because it's just another clear indication to me on how freaking loaded the AFC is and how we're going to be so blessed to have such great football here probably over this next decade. Because I think this is just going to be another game in this Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence rivalry. And there's going to be so many other different rivalries because we have Mahomes, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Burrow. Trevor Lawrence is now definitely putting his name in there. And so excited just to see this matchup here. I think it's going to be an amazing matchup. A couple of things to definitely take note on throughout the week, especially injury on who is going to be able to play. But Ryan, before we break into that, what are your overall expectations of the game? Do you think the Chiefs are going to be looking to bounce? Well, obviously, they're going to be looking to bounce back here, but do you think they're going to be able to?
Yeah, I think they'll be able to bounce back here pretty well. We'll get into our predictions a little bit later, but I think this is going to be playoffs in September. I mean, these two, I know it's week 2, but these tiebreakers are going to, I think, come into play later on, and neither of these two teams they're going to be putting everything on the line already. And I'm very excited for this one. Both of these teams are expected to win their division, and I know the Chiefs kind of got off to a rocky start there, but hopefully Travis Kelce can return this week after having a sprained knee, but we'll see. The Jaguars, they looked good. They started off a little rusty, I think, in the Colts game, but then they figured things out. Also, the Colts throw a unique approach with Anthony Richardson right now at a defense, and I think that's just going to take some adjusting to for a lot of teams. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. What do you think is Kansas City's key to win here? Because they are coming off a tough loss. They probably should have won, I guess, if you look into the amount of mistakes that they made on the offensive side of the ball. But what do you think their key to win here is?
The key to win is going to be the player that they just signed to a 1-year agreement, Chris Jones. And I'm going to counter that also, or add on to that. I also a guy to watch for Jacksonville as well, Braden Scherf, their interior offensive lineman, is day-to-day with an ankle sprain. I think the addition and subtraction, I think, is going to be the key thing to watch for Kansas City to win. If they're able to neutralize Chris Jones, because I know it'll be his first game, so maybe they'll try to ease him back into playing so that they don't hurt him, or he doesn't get hurt just from going too hard too soon. That, I think, is going to be the key to victory for them, because I still think that this offense is going to take a couple weeks to kind of get figured out. Like, I'm not too concerned about their offense long term, but just with these role players essentially getting adjusted to now their new roles of like, hey, I need to step up and produce more. We saw that struggle obviously against Detroit. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So I think this is going to be, it's going to have to shut down the Jacksonville offense, which in my opinion, they looked very good, very explosive. It did take some time for them to kind of get going first half in the first game of the season as expected. But Calvin Ridley looked amazing. Zay Jones looked awesome. Christian Kirk is still really good, but he didn't really have that big of a game because he didn't really need to as well. Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, their rookie running back that they got in the draft, also looked great, and Evan Ingram as well. So I mean, there's so many weapons that they're going to have to cover. It's going to have to come from the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion, because I think if it turns into a track meet, I actually don't really like Kansas City in that scenario. I think if they're going to win, it's going to have to be a much lower score.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think Jacksonville, they have just a ton of weapons. Their weakness right now is this offensive line. They were able to give Trevor Lawrence clean pockets on certain instances, but I actually think this Colts defensive front is going to be pretty comparable to what the Kansas City Chiefs are going to bring to him, especially now that Chris Jones is back in the lineup. DeForest Buckner had a couple good plays there, and the Colts were able to influence Trevor Lawrence sometimes. And so overall, I thought that offensive line held up decent, and I think it'll hold up okay again here this week. And I'm actually going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars, and especially if Travis Kelce does not play, I don't think Kansas City will have the horses to really keep up. Patrick Mahomes can really only do so much, and it's going to be tough I think, for them, and especially going on the road to Jacksonville.
So actually, darn, I was hoping that you'd pick Kansas City because this was going to be my sleeper pick because I have the Jaguars winning this game also.
Mm-hmm.
I think because they are rolling with two younger right tackles right now with Cam Robinson currently out with PED suspension. But they seem to hold their own overall. Yes, there were some struggles, and I think it was a good test for that offensive line as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I had to watch Brandon Scherf's status throughout the season. But they're able to kind of neutralize that threat of having a weaker offensive line by having a West Coast style offense.
Yeah,
and then even then having Travis Etienne in the backfield, they're like you have to have a linebacker cover him or a nickel cover him. And then at the same time, they're going to be rolling out with 4 receivers, or not 4 receivers, 3 receivers, and Evan Ingram, who's essentially a receiver. So they're able to neutralize that offensive line by spreading out this defense, limiting the amount of guys that they're able to bring. And I think it is going to be that track meet that I talked about. This offense is looking high flying. I think they're going to want to definitely get some redemption from the game, from their playoff loss from last year. And at the same time, I think if there's a good time to play the Chiefs, it's in September. Normally their record, they're around 500 or a little above 500 historically. I don't want to play them in December or January or February for that matter. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville here in this one. I think it's going to be an amazing game.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is definitely probably my favorite game of the week so far. I'm really looking forward to it. And let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win this game, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.